This video is going to demonstrate how to create Revolve object number 4 from CAD problem set number 2. So this picture represents our finished product, what we're trying to achieve. Essentially, it is a fitting, and it looks like it has a brass material or something similar assigned to it. Here are the drawings for the Revolve. This one has our dimensions. This one includes the constraints used. And then here we have a chamfer tool. And this is a cutaway view of what it looks like on the inside. And the reason it gives this is there's an extrusion here as well, an extrusion that is a cut. And you can see on the first picture here what that will take away from it. It looks like some sort of a keyway, a lockway, something like that. And then on the inside, it kind of shows that this is hollow on the inside, I believe is the purpose of this picture here. If we take a look at the directions, let's see, create the design for the fitting with a through hole built in. That's what this picture is referring to, and not as a second cut. There's an O-ring groove, which is this groove on the outside. It asks us to insert the material or assign the material brass. It tells us about using a chamfer tool on 3 edges, which we can see here in this chamfer tool design. We can see the 2 on the large end and the 1 on the inside of the small end. And it talks about the retaining clip groove does not revolve around the fitting. It is an extrusion straight across it, which again you can see in this first picture here. It gives us a volume for the object of 0.184 cubic inches. And if we're within 5% of that, we are good. If it deviates, we need to figure out why. So let's go ahead and start working on this. And this is going to be the primary tool that we're going to use to do this is this reference here. Let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, so essentially, it's rather simple. There's some details here, but it's all lines. And this is going to be our axis. And so we're kind of creating this profile here. So let's go ahead and start doing that. Let's see, where did they put the origin here? So the origin looks like it's on the top left of the axis. So that's where I'm going to put it on my screen as well. And what is my overall length is 1.5 inches. So I'm actually going to start there because all these little details could kind of fall apart if I make it particularly big or small and try to reassign the size with dimensions. So I think what I'm going to do is create the length of it first and then work from there. Okay, so I'm going to put a construction line as my axis and then assign size to that. And that is going to be 1.573 inches. Okay, so now I'm pretty much in the correct scale. Now let's go ahead and start using the line tool. Let's see, I'm going to start from the inside. It's straight, angled. Let's see what this side looks like. And then goes straight to the edge. And because I didn't toggle it off, those came as, those were created as construction, but that's an easy fix. Just highlight and toggle off. All right, now with these ends, I'm going to make sure they understand they need to be vertical with the established points. Looks like here it was done with lines, but we could do that with constraints as well. They just need to know they're not allowed to deviate from those points. I could put this dimension in now or later. It really doesn't matter. Now I'm going to start drawing this end of it. So I know we're coming straight down. We're going over. This is where there's a groove, but it all looks like it is right angles. And then we come... It looks like this point is vertical with, or this line is vertical at that point, and I'm going to operate under that assumption here. And here again, I'm making everything construction, but that's an easy fix. So once you turn construction on, it wants to stay construction. So the easy fix is after you select your sketch tool, just turn construction off, and then you can operate as you need to. So let's see here, what do we have? We have angles and straights, and they all are at the same. Oh, I need to make these a little smaller. Let me back up a little bit. So how many of these do I need? Let's count. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 angled pieces. Okay. And they all have the same depth. So I'm just going to let these dotted lines kind of guide me. And this one comes here, and then it closes off. Perfect. All right, now these are all parallel, so I can just insert those. And I'm making that on a visual assumption, but I can see it down here where I'm given the constraints used to create this. So lots of perpendiculars, parallels for all these. And let's start there with the parallels. And it looks like these are all vertical. And yeah, those were already established, or some of them were. So let's do this. Okay, it already picked that up. Let me turn on my constraint so I can see what's there. Okay, so it actually created parallels, looks like, with pretty much everything. Yeah, so we should be good in that end. So let's go ahead and start assigning some of these dimensions now. Okay, so on this side, I have a dimension of 0.335, 0.15, 0.075. Remember, decimals matter. Oop. Let's see, inside here is 0.038. 0.575. I'm going to go to the right side and get all these dimensions set. So we have from here to here is 0.136. Follow the arrows, and from that line to that point we have 0.186. And then to the outside edge, we have the outside edge of the first kind of tapered part, we have 0.208. Okay, now as you can see here, this stuff kind of got lost, but what we can do is set all those horizontal to each other, and that should start fixing us up here. Now remember, the vertical and horizontal, it's all relative in this program. You want to use the effect you're getting, not necessarily the which one's called which. And these are all on the same horizontal line as well. Now we need to set these lengths. So let's do this. Now it looks like, so this is 0.182 between these points or lines. And what the f of x means is that they just clicked on this. Instead of typing the number in again, it's just all clicks. And I'll show you how to do that right now. So we can set our first dimension of 0.182. And then I can select this next dimension, but instead of typing in 0.182, that one's already set based on constraints. Instead of typing in 0.182, what I can do is click this button, and it will pick up that previous dimension. So that's kind of a nice trick. And I can just keep doing that. The parentheses means it's a driven dimension, which it's not really changing anything. It's just telling you what's already there. And that's just based on constraints we have, which is absolutely fine. All right, let's see where we have errors we need to correct. Okay, pretty close, but I can see right here this angle's a little bit off. So let's see what we need to do there. Okay, 575. Looks like this needs to come. So if I look, there's a vertical here that I need to put in. So and I need to use the other constraint. So to create that vertical, and then that makes it all fully constrained. So at this point, my Revolve is ready. So let's go ahead and grab it. It should select the enclosed profile. My axis is going to be this, which we pre-established. And I can kind of go back up and see, does that look right? Give it the good old eye test. Is that relatively accurate compared to the example? Looks pretty good to my eye, so I'm going to go with it there. All right. It's a lot easier than it seemed like it was going to be, isn't it? All right, at this point, you would move on to the chamfer, which is pretty darn easy. You just select the edges you want, assign the number that you're looking for, which is 0.025. That chamfer's done. As far as doing an extrusion, hopefully by this point you know how to do extrusions, but the thing you may need a little help with is how to set it up. So you're going to want either this origin plane or this one. It doesn't really matter which one. For the sake of having it look more correct to the home position on the screen, I would choose this one. And the one trick here you might need to know is you're sketching in the middle of this thing, but if you once you start the sketch, if you right click, bring up your submenu and click Slice Graphics, it's a lot easier to sketch on this face than it is to try to sketch in the middle of something solid. So here's where you create these lines. If you ask me, this looks like it was created here and mirrored to the top, and then just a two-way extruded cut, which at this point, hopefully that's not a problem. You just select both directions and make sure you have it far enough or go through all so that it cuts both sides. So at this point, this video is done. I hope you enjoyed it and learned a little bit, and good luck.